Hey, Dan, you're competing for nicest background.
Forgot my hearing aids.
My hearing aid is 3 rooms away.
Okay, all, we are live streamed. So Chair Anthony Marino, I'm turning this over to you.
Thank you so much, Josephine. Welcome, everyone, to this February 7th meeting of the Traffic and Transportation Committee. Tonight, we are going to be discussing the streets, the open streets programs, and how it relates to all of the many festivals and outdoor activities that our district has throughout the year. So I welcome Leroy and his team from the DOT. I also welcome all those people from the various different business improvement districts. I see Fifth Avenue bid is here, and I imagine someone maybe from the Third Avenue Merchants is here as well. So thank you for attending, as this is something that is near and dear to us. And the way that things have been done have changed. I know that in the past, DOT issued a lot of the permits and such through I believe it was the Street Activity Permit Office, but now there's something new going on, and we kind of want to just get a bearing on that.
So Anthony, I just want to just interject a little bit. There are, yeah, I'm sorry. So there are Anthony's first a meeting to review our both our festival permits, which are submitted under the Street Activity Permit Office. And we have 3 festivals that we review each year in Community Board 10. That's the Third Avenue Festival on Third Avenue, the Fifth Avenue Festival, and Holy Crosses Festival. So that's the first item on today's agenda, which is a review of those street fair applications. And then the second item is the open streets application, which are have been historically run by Third Avenue and Fifth Avenue, and that program changed a bit last year with the pandemic, changing from the weekend walks model to the DOT's open streets. So maybe if we could just quickly go through the festivals. I know that Chip is here to talk about the festivals. They really don't change much each year, but we are required to give an advisory opinion to SAPO during the month of March. So Anthony, if that's okay, maybe we'll start with that. And the first is the Third Avenue Festival, which is street activity permit. Let me see here, ID event 612678. So Chip, is there anything that's changed?
No, not really. Well, changed from last year, no. But prior to that, last year was a problem because of the food huts, and we're going to face that again. You know, we have to keep extra space on each side of them. It changed the whole look of the festival, but we managed to get through. It was a loss of revenue, big loss of revenue for the Third Avenue Merchants last year, but I think we recovered. There was a lot less vendors. We're pushing, I already got everything printed up, ready to go right after this meeting, soliciting vendors. So basically it'll be the same layout, you know, from.
So, and it's the same parameters, right? It's Third Avenue between Bay Ridge Avenue and 94th Street, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. I have I shared the screen, which are our stipulations that we've done. We've not had complaints in recent years on the festival, which is good news. But we have in the past put this to our CEO recommendation and to our committee. And if I could just go through them really quick. The amplified sound to end at 6. The amplified sound permits will be issued at the discretion of the Third Avenue Merchants, and you've provided those to CB10. DSNY must begin cleaning at 6 p.m. And I guess it's going to be it's been at your discretion, right? Which end it starts?
Yeah.
You've been alternating them, right? Mm-hmm. So the State Liquor Authority premises applying for 1-day outdoor use. I guess if those that don't have outdoor dining still have to get those. Is that right, Chip?
Yes, that was the problem we had because of the ones that are already outside. They don't have to get it, as far as I know. You know, the ones that have the food hut outside. So.
Okay, establishments that do not obtain a one-day SLA permit will not be permitted to serve alcohol. The festival marshals must report any vendor or business selling alcohol to the NYPD. Distribution of festival regulations to all participating vendors and merchants, and the Third Avenue merchants as sponsor will attend the interagency meeting organized by CB10 with leadership of NYPD, DSNY, SLA, SAPO, and DOT. That's that meeting that we have in advance, which we
Yes.
do each year.
Yes.
And that's it. That's what we've done. It seems like that's all the same.
Yeah, everything's pretty much the same on Third Avenue. If anything changes between now and then, I'll let you know, but I don't foresee any changes, you know. Hopefully we just have increased crowd, have more merchant participation. That's really what we need, more than just the restaurants, bars and restaurants, you know.
Right. And now you're also doing Fifth Avenue, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm working with the Fifth Avenue bid with
I see.
Amanda. That's gonna be on June 5th.
Can I ask Chip a question?
Yeah,
Chip, when you said you had less merchants, do you mean less merchants that have established stores or like vendors that come in just for that day?
well, actually both. A lot of vendors have gone out of business. There's not as many vendors. I lost a lot of vendors. Half of them are set up every day up on 86th Street in Bensonhurst. So they don't bother going to the festivals anymore. But also we had less participation from merchants coming out. They were leery last year, you know, as in comparison to the past. I mean, I keep all my records. I have them for like 35 years, all the records, and we would definitely had a lot less last year. But again, we started late last year. And usually I start now in February. Last year we didn't get started till June. Really started working on it, so that makes a difference also. But there's also a lot of new stores on Third Avenue. I redid the maps. There's more changes on the avenue than in the past. Usually we run about 30 new stores a year. This year it's closer to 40, you know, have changed over. So
That's on Third Avenue?
yeah, yes, I haven't done Fifth. Amanda does Fifth Avenue, you know, takes care of them.
So next is, so I don't know how you want to do this, Anthony, if you want to, maybe we'll go right to Fifth Avenue. Both Fifth and Third Avenue are the same.
Same, right? Yeah, so we could probably just do one.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Chip, do you want to do Fifth? Amanda, do you want to talk about it? Are there any changes?
Let
that we should
Amanda
know
talk
about?
about it this way. I know what
Well, I mean, I would just like to say that first, this is the first time we're going to be able to have the festival in 2 years because of where our festival falls. We missed it last year as well. So we are really excited. We're beginning work right now. Also looking to get more participants from our merchants. Those are the stores on Fifth Avenue. And we're really looking to increase our vendors or fan out and get more local artisans and different types of products. We're hoping to really bring something a little unique to fill out the festival this year, and some live entertainment, of course. So we are very excited, but it will remain the same in terms of its hours, location, rules and regulations. All of that will be followed to the letter as it has been in the past.
Thank you.
Great.
Sure.
Awesome.
Okay, so Amanda, just to go over for the committee, we've done the same stipulations in our recommendations, which have always been adhered to. We've not had any issues or problems. We haven't had you in 2 years, but these are the stipulations that we have submitted in the past. And again, it's the same, the amplified sound permit to end at 6. They'll be at the discretion of the Fifth Avenue Business Improvement District.
Correct.
DSNY begins cleaning the event at 6 p.m. Or again, with the SLA licensed premises applying for one-day outdoor use must submit a signed letter notifying CB10 that their SLA licensed premise received the SAPO festival rules as well as the stipulation agreement. Violations of SAPO rules will be subject to enforcement by SAPO. Establishments that do not obtain a one-day SLA permit will not be permitted to serve alcohol. Festival marshals, again, must report any vendor selling alcohol to NYPD. Distribution of festival regulations to all participating vendors and merchants. And the Fifth Avenue bid will also attend the interagency meeting in advance. So is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, then I'm gonna,
Make one statement, just so that there's no confusion. I had a couple of people ask. The cleanup starts technically at 6 o'clock, but they don't start moving at 6. Every vendor has to be closed down. The sound has to be eliminated. We don't start moving in till like 6:30, 6:45.
right. I mean, and the cleanup permit is until 8 PM.
Yes, and it's all.
I mean, the cleanup goes till 8 PM. No, we realize that. But if we don't begin at 6, then we could be there till.
Well,
right.
they're there in I meet with sanitation at 6. We line up and we
Yes,
get ready and we start scaring the merchants, and then
okay.
that's how you get them to close down and all. So
Right. Anthony, I think you have some questions?
Yeah, Steve,
Yeah, I just want to know who, do the police provide security for this? I know that there was an issue about that one time, but did it provide security now, or do you have to get
Yes.
private security, Chip?
no, marshals are there for disputes with vendors. They're not security. The police provide the security, and that's on my application with the city. You know, we always thank God I'm doing it 46 years. We've never had a major problem. The police have done a great job. You know.
I agree. It's just, Joe, I thought that there was something about the police. We're no longer going to provide security for these kinds of
Oh,
things.
that's the next topic.
that's
That
the
was
other, yeah.
That's the,
I'm as confused as you are a little bit there with that stuff,
that's
Steve.
okay. That's the Open Streets program.
I thought the same.
It's shifted more to the organizations. That's next on the topic. The festivals are a street activity permit office. It goes through a multi-agency review. That's what these applications are.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Comments, questions, concerns? Doris, how are you? Welcome. You're
Well, Doris,
muted.
you're on mute.
You're on mute.
Got it. Amanda, I want to commend you for saying you want to have more artisans and local things. I like the fact that there are artisans and local musicians and local music groups. I think that's a great addition to.
Oh, thank you. We're really hoping to make it work, and by all means, spread the word. I'm happy to talk to anyone. They can call the office if they have any questions about that. And we're looking to be very favorable and make sure that they can afford to come out, or, you know, that there isn't a large fee for them, things like that. So we really want to make this work. So by all means, if you know any, they can call my office anytime.
I don't, but I know sometimes there are high schools, not their big bands, but small bands. They have like jazz bands and concert, thing. So maybe the high schools could get involved.
I'm happy to speak with anyone local. We'd love to make this a really great thing for Bay Ridge here on Fifth Avenue. So again, anyone can reach out to my office with any questions, suggestions. I'm happy to take them.
Chip, is there a thought to return to this? I'm going to date myself. Back when we had the Blockbuster, we used to have the main stage in front of the Blockbuster over there on 80th and 3rd, like to do like a main stage again for the
I
third.
had that last year.
Oh, you did? Okay, I
Oh,
wasn't.
you mean
I
you
didn't see
didn't
it
come last year?
I will admit I did not. I was not there last year.
Oh, we brought that
But I'll be
back.
there this year.
I always do that on 81st Street. I mean, that's the only stage that the merchants provide, the only entertainment. All the rest of the entertainment is provided by the bars and restaurants.
Right.
And they have to get approval from me. I have to screen them. I have to either know the band or I have to hear them. And I got to go through regulations with them. And if they're going to get a sound permit, they get a letter from me that they have to go to the precinct with. And this way I can shut them down if I have to.
Gotcha.
But that's the only place that we provide entertainment on 3rd Avenue. Is we also put a lot of rides out for the kids and stuff like that. But
Right.
That's the only entertainment on 3rd Avenue that is provided by the Merchants Association. Everything else belongs to the individual restaurants and bars.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, Carmen.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Can we get Chip's number? Because I was thinking, I work with a lot of different nonprofits. They may want to
Yeah.
get a table.
I can ask, I'll share that with you, Carmen.
Okay.
I'll send you that in email.
Thank you. Thank you.
You should have, everybody has my number.
We've got your number.
Yeah.
Go into any bar on 3rd Avenue, my number's on the wall someplace.
Ay, ay, ay. Okay.
Josephine, you're also welcome to share our number and my email as well.
Absolutely, will do.
We have a
So,
separate list of nonprofits that are going out with. That's one thing that makes Third Avenue and Fifth Avenue different than other associations. Last year, I think we had about 30 nonprofits. But the list that the mailing list that we have has about 45 nonprofits on there, and we're big with them. We charge, I think, $50 as a cleanup fee, but half the time we waive that fee. You know, we know that they can't afford it, or it's a hassle for them. But we look forward. I like to keep it a community event. You know, a family. We promote it as a family-run community event. So.
Okay. Anybody else? No? Are we voting on this?
yeah,
Josephine?
so we
Oh,
have
yeah,
to
okay.
vote. Yeah, so
Yeah,
third
I
and
was gonna
fifth.
say.
So what I will do is I will put up the motions. We went through the list for each of third and fifth, and what we've done, because we have to make those recommendations on SAPO's website individually, I will run the polls that Dorothy was nice enough to so does everyone see the motion?
I'm hitting it, but it's not going
Says
through.
host and panelists can't vote.
Oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
I made an error. Hold on. I'm a little rusty.
Okay.
Bear with me. Hold on one second. I'm so sorry, everyone.
What's the date of the Third Avenue Festival this year?
October
October 2nd.
2nd.
And what's the date of the Fifth Avenue?
June 5th.
June 5th.
Could you repeat that?
June 5th is Fifth Avenue, and Third Avenue is October 2nd.
That seems early. No, but that's just,
No, it's usually either the last weekend in September or the first.
okay, right. Okay, got it. Okay.
Okay, let's see if that works now for the Third Avenue Festival.
It works.
It works.
Yeah.
Excuse me, do we all vote or just?
No, just the board members.
Oh, yeah, because I have a thing on my screen.
Okay, I'm
that's why.
sorry.
No,
usually
that's fine.
mention that, just
I'll-
board members. Hi, Evans. Okay, it's unanimous.
Doing Evans,
How are you, Dean?
thank God, doing okay.
Okay, next is Fifth Avenue. Just bear with me, everyone. Okay, same for Fifth, the same stipulations that we. Okay, again, that's unanimous. Joe?
In favor.
Okay. So next on the agenda, our third festival is Holy Crosses Festival. And I know that Evan Kotsis is here from Holy Cross.
Evan.
And that is event ID 617079. That is going to be held, setup date beginning September 15th, breakdown date through September 18th. So Evans, I'm going to pass it along to you. You could tell us if there are any changes from last year.
No, just maybe the price is going up a little bit because everything's gone up. But other than that, we're planning on doing the same thing like last year. Having a few tables, having the rides with Angelo show up, doing all the homemade cooking on the church premises. And that's it. Last year, we didn't have vendors in the gym because of COVID. We tried to be a little bit more proactive with it. So hopefully if everything simmers down, we'll try to open up the gymnasium again and have some vendors and stuff in there again this year. So last year we were pretty much, I'd say 80% at capacity of what we normally do. So we'll either keep it, the same way, or we'll just go back to how it was pre-COVID with all the indoor activities too on the church grounds.
Okay. So just for the committee members, in the past, the only stipulation that the board has issued, and that was in response to community requests, is that the sound ends, well, it's a sound permit ends at 10 p.m.
At 10 o'clock, yeah.
At 10 o'clock And that's been pretty much it, you know.
Yeah, I think last year, I don't think we really had any issues.
No.
We were trying to, be really conscious about it. It might have ran over by a couple of minutes, like 10:05. But we tried to be really, good with the neighbors this year, make sure we didn't have any issues and stuff. So no complaints got back to me through the community board. So I think we were pretty good for last year. And
Yes.
hopefully we'll continue that.
Yes, thank you. Anyone have questions? I'll turn it
Anybody?
back over to Anthony.
Yep. Any questions or comments, concerns for?
No, I'll just make a
Doris.
comment. I don't know
Sorry,
if I did in the past that I'm a member of Holy Cross, just because I'll be voting on it.
And I am as well.
Doris?
I have a recollection prior to COVID that there were issues that some of the vendors did not remove their trailers in a timely basis, and it created problems on Ridge Boulevard. It's hard to do an equivalence to last year, but can Holy Cross say we will be sure that Ridge Boulevard is clear the day the festival is done?
In all honesty, we can't say that because we're not in charge of the rides. That's a company that works with the city that we use. We tell him every year, get the stuff out of there as soon as possible, as quickly as you can. And usually by Tuesday, if the stuff, the festival's over Sunday night, by Tuesday morning, if there's still trailers there, I'm on the phone with him, calling him, telling him, you got to get your guys. I don't know how it works on his end. I don't know if he subcontracts out those rides to other ride vendors. I don't know how it works exactly, but I am aware that, a few people have complained about it, and we've been trying to be on top of them to make sure everything is
Well, I
cleared
don't
out.
find that to be an acceptable answer. If the festival is over, the stuff should be gone.
I agree with you. I'm on your side with that.
It's your responsibility to guarantee that and to work with your vendors to be sure that that's what happens.
No, that I understand. We've been trying. That's what we've been doing every year with it. So last year, I don't think, was it an issue last year? I don't think we had any complaints.
Well, as I said, last year was a unique year. So I would say we have to look at other years, and you're saying you do not have a process. An effective process.
There in those years that there were issues, I can say last year, I think on the Tuesday, I think I might have reached out to Evans, and it was gone within a day. And you did call over to the company.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll mention it to him again. I'll tell him, Angela, look, we're getting complaints from the community board now. Get it, make sure the stuff is out of here as soon as possible. By Monday morning, if you can. This way we don't
Not
have
as soon
any
as
issues.
possible. By Monday morning. And I'm done now.
Hey, Evan, just a suggestion. Maybe
Yeah,
you could put it in the contract with him that he has it removed by Monday.
Okay.
Pressure.
That's a good point.
Monday morning.
Because remember how many schools are at that location.
Yeah, that's a hot spot right there.
Yeah, it's it's DGK and Adelphi.
And 185.
And 185.
25.
Yeah, well, we don't have any trailers by 185.
But
Everything
you're in
is
the area.
There's still
in the
there's
area.
still-
Yeah, it's in the proximity.
We have, I work at Adelphi, and I also work with Anthony, with Angelo. So we have had a problem in the past where trailers were left right in front of the entrance to the school where the buses came. But I have his number, his home number. I called him and threatened him also. So, you got to realize he does that one, and then he tries to leave them there because he brings them the following week to the Third Avenue Festival. So, but I know the game he plays. Last year he moved them right away from the entranceway, at least.
Okay, yeah.
That's important because there's a lot of buses that come there. So, but he works with us.
Okay. Do we want to add that then? Are we adding that? Are we suggesting we add that to this motion?
Up to
I would
board members.
suggest that.
Oh.
I would add that there be a stipulation that Holy Cross must have in their contract that all trailers and rides are removed by Monday morning.
Do I have a second for that?
I see Steve.
Those,
Okay, yep, Stephanie.
Okay, all righty, so I will now launch the, do you see it? Yeah, launch.
Not yet.
Yeah.
There we go. Just for board members again.
And just to confirm, that includes the amendment.
We'll include,
That
yeah,
includes the amendment, yeah.
that includes the
Okey
amendment. yeah.
dokey.
In favor.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, was unanimous in favor? Share those results. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evans. Thank you.
Okay, so moving
The,
along.
So now open streets, yes?
Yes, review of local open streets applications in CB10. So this again is, was a new program that kind of began after our last meeting that we held in February. And it was put together kind of quickly. And Third Avenue and Fifth Avenue did participate last year. Third Avenue held 4 DOT open streets events, 2 in the upper, 2 in the lower. And Fifth Avenue, I'm going to do this from memory, I think also submitted for 4, but rain was not their friend last year and unfortunately had to cancel at least one I know of. That was held last year. So in speaking to both Third and Fifth Avenues and to some committee members, Anthony thought it best that we invite DOT to first kind of speak a little bit about the changes to the DOT, what was formerly weekend walks, to the new open streets, maybe quickly talk to us about it, and then we could roll right into the Third Avenue and Fifth Avenue applications this year, which changed a bit in terms of number and locations. So I think maybe we'll turn it first to DOT to maybe Kyle, if you want to give us a little, an overview.
Sure. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Good to see some familiar faces. I have a long history of working in this neighborhood through the summer strolls on Third Avenue and working with Amanda and the Fifth Avenue bid on the various weekend walks events they did with us over the years. So I also actually used to live in Bay Ridge, so definitely this community has a special place in my heart. So before we jump into the open streets applications for Third and Fifth, and actually there's a few others as well, let me just go through a very quick deck that sort of just lays out what the changes are to open streets. Everyone should be able to see my screen, and I'll email this to you afterwards so you can further disseminate it. But just to recap, in 2021, we were working with over 200 partners for scale compared to Weekend Walks, which only had about 67 partners, just 60 to 70 partners on an annual basis. We've really more than doubled the amount of places and partners where we're working. So super exciting to see this growth and sort of the really great sort of reception that the public has given us towards these public space initiatives. Something that I'll talk about a little bit later is that we've also seen a lot of schools participate in Open Streets. Open Streets is the new home of the Play Streets program and the former Outdoor Learning program. So there's actually been quite a number of changes in how activity is conducted on New York City streets that at least falls under the jurisdiction of the city's DOT. At our core with Open Streets, I work in a special part of the agency called the Public Space Unit. We're really at our core, we are working to pedestrianize and add more bike lanes and other types of public realm amenities across the city. Of course, through the pandemic, we've layered on different sort of levels of economic recovery and development. Very much so, we're still in a COVID recovery phase and trying to help the businesses really hit hardest by this pandemic. But as we move, hopefully one day out of a pandemic, we want to continue to use Open Streets as an economic development tool. Actually, just for everyone's reference, we did a survey back in, I want to say 2018, for the businesses along Third Avenue, just to quantify what the impact of the summer strolls was on their bottom line. And a lot of restaurants indicated that it was some of their most successful days of the year, obviously great community building, exercise, bringing out everyone onto the street and the performances and programming and all the great things that we've seen at the strolls over the last 2 years. So we really want to continue to layer on the support for small businesses. This has also been an incredible community building experience. I know that, of course, here in Bay Ridge, we have a lot of great, strong community ties that already exist. But what's been really nice over the last 2 years now almost, has seeing all of this sort of coming together from neighbors all across the city. We've actually seen a fair share also of weddings on open streets, which has been very sort of funny to see people getting married right in the middle of a public right of way. But really anything can happen on open streets, including the circus. Actually, we brought about 20 or 30 circus performances to various neighborhoods all across the city last year. Maybe there's even opportunities to bring them to Bay Ridge and the wider CB10 in 2022. But we want to continue to support our arts and culture institutions that have really been hit pretty hard also by this pandemic.
Let's do.
And like I was mentioning earlier, we want to continue our support for schools. Open Streets, like I had mentioned, is the new home of Play Streets, and we'll continue to sort of work with public, private, and charter schools all across New York City to make use of the street for educational purposes, safer pickup and drop-off operations, outdoor learning, and so on. So just the last thing that I'm gonna touch on is our vision for the upcoming year. Really at our program's core is equity, making sure that all New Yorkers have access to the program, and really empowering our partners to have the adequate resources to actually make this go off as a success, and working towards more sustainable operations and really continuing our goals of adding more bike and pedestrian and public realm infrastructure here in New York City. And the last item that I'm going to tell you, which is just the ways that we're supporting our partners, is through funding up to $20,000 per site, which is scalable based on the number of blocks and days that you do. We'll be working to provide a lot more programming on open streets. Like I said, things like the circus, we've had summer camps on open streets. We can work to add markets and other types of concessions and sort of really just show that the street can be used in so many different ways on an open street. And the last items is, of course, continuing to work with our community partners on, operations and design guidance and things like that. And the last item is, of course, all of the work that I typically do along with Leroy and other folks at DOT is more the behind the scenes citywide coordination that we do with SABO, with NYPD, with the community board, so on and so forth. And that is actually something that's good to highlight is sort of the changes that really have been sort of how it all happens and permitting and things like that. Really, the biggest change for everyone to know between weekend walks and open streets is, I will say it does seem like NYPD has decided to sort of, shift some of their resources and their capacity to other priorities. So they do not play much of a role in open streets as it stands right now. Of course, PD will continue to provide the typical enforcement support that we would need in an emergency, don't get me wrong, but the sort of basic operations and other details that they were providing on open streets isn't necessarily probably going to be the case, at least as the resources stand right now. That could definitely evolve in the future, given that we're in a new administration and there's obviously been a lot of just changes and all things city government because of the pandemic. But as it stands right now, we're really sort of working with our community partners on the basic operations of open streets. But NYPD and all of our city agency partners are definitely still very much involved in all of these decisions and making everything come together. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And then before I turn it over to any questions or comments, I just want to give a brief overview of the applications that we have for Brooklyn CB10. So we have the Third Avenue application, which is very similar to what was done with summer strolls in the past, except they're going to be adding a few more Fridays. I want to preface me explaining all these applications that they're still under review, and we will be formally sharing them with the community board in probably about 2 to 3 weeks time for an actual comment period for you all to send us any formal feedback that you have. But we have the Third Avenue open street application for I think 7 or 8 Fridays this summer. We have an application from the Fifth Avenue Business Improvement District for a handful of Fridays about monthly throughout the summer. I think there's 4, Amanda can confirm, of course. And then, like I had mentioned earlier in the presentation, Open Streets is the new home of Play Streets and outdoor learning. We have 2 applications to continue on for the rest of the year from Bay Ridge Prep and the High School of Telecommunication Arts and Technology. But the Demetrios and George School is also approved for an open street on Ridge Boulevard currently, but we have not received an application yet from them for 2022. So that's where it stands as it pertains to applications within CB10. So there's, the main 5th and 3rd, and then the 3 school applications that we have. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Anthony and Josephine for questions.
Anybody? Thank you so much for that, Kyle. That very helpful. Anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns?
I have a question.
Yes, go for it,
We
Doris.
had a process that worked, for summer strolls, and it worked very effectively. And I see a huge difference between summer strolls in business areas and things for schools and kids. But I'm concerned about the impact on our commercial corridors, which are, and I have to restate what was recently said, that we are a residential neighborhood with commercial overlays, and what regulations will be in place to ensure the safety and the sanity of the residents in these areas. Will there be what will be the regulations for serving alcohol? What will be the regulations for cleaning up at the end? What will be the time regulations? And I don't, where we had that before in weekend walks, I do not see this now. And I think it's inappropriate to compare open streets for schools and open streets for business and commercial uses.
Okay, thank you, Doris. And I get that. Anyone else? Comments, concerns, a response? I don't know, Kyle, if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to respond. Definitely, I hear you. There's been a lot of changes with these programs, and we're still very much in an evolution period. I think in 2022 with open streets, with outdoor dining, there's actually a major city council hearing related to outdoor dining that if anyone is interested in attending or giving testimony at, they should definitely sign up. So yeah, we definitely hear you, but I want to make one thing, just clarifying point. All of the great work that the merchants of 3rd Avenue have done related to the summer stroll has been at their own sort of development and time. DOT never actually did the great operational work that they put together with the sanitation, with the enforcement, with getting everything sort of organized. That's always been on them. So I know that there's been a couple sort of shifts in who used to manage the summer strolls and who manages it now. And, I'm working closely with Dan and the rest of the merchants group, but I just want to make it abundantly clear that it was on them to do that. And I have no doubt that they'll continue to do that, of course, but just know that wasn't something that we were stipulating.
But do you have a mechanism to ensure that?
Of course, the city has,
what is the mechanism?
The city and state have broad enforcement powers, and were there to be quality of life issues that persisted, we would take the necessary action.
Okay.
So if they do not turn off their music at a certain time, what will be the mechanism for enforcing that?
Calling NYPD.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Anyone else? Comment?
Am I allowed to speak?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Okay, we break, 3rd Avenue is a long strip from 68th Street to Marine. And that's why we want to break it up to 2 different sections. For the economy, as far as security, marshals, we couldn't hire enough marshals for the whole street to have the music shut down on time and so on and so forth. So that's why we broke it up into 2 different sections. So we intend to hire marshals. We have somebody that we're paying to run the strolls. We're in negotiations with them now to ensure that the music and festivities are shut down exactly at 10 o'clock.
Right. I think one of the issues that we noticed last year, and again, both Third and Fifth Avenue are enjoyed by so many, and everyone looks forward to the summer stroll events, was the difference last year in terms of agency support. And that, we noticed that the signs were different, that, cars didn't move. We didn't have the NYPD tow trucks as we've had in years, prior to that. I don't know if that's going to be returning this year. Also, I know closing off the streets, making sure that you have the support from local agencies that we've had in the past. And I know a lot is on the organizations. I don't know if that's, that funding that's going to help supplement, and the marshals will help assist that. I think it's important. And I agree. I think the upper and lower has worked. I think it's a good model. It organizes the upper and lower. And it's manageable, certainly, because those things are costly. So, have you gotten word? Maybe, I don't know if you could speak to that, or if DOT could speak to that. It sounds like that's going to be changing somewhat this year, that there will be additional support for our merchant groups.
So we're definitely offering funding to the Third Avenue group to manage both sections of the open streets, and between us, we'll figure all of that out on our end. But circling back to NYPD, even in my own experience managing weekend walks, the 6-8 provided a boutique level of service on the summer stroll that most other weekend walk partners would have begged for. So you all were very lucky, really, that the 6-8 in years past was providing that level of service. If I can be perfectly honest, I'm not entirely sure why that changed because of the pandemic. That's a question maybe for the NYPD. We would have no objection to them providing any operational support to the merchants group or anyone who wanted to execute open streets citywide.
Right, but the DOT program, though, correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, last year, the notifications were made by community organizations to the groups. And the groups were even told that they wouldn't get the agency supports. That's what was my understanding. And that was down, agency by agency. And kind of when it's in weekend walks, it was run through SAPO, which did that automatic, agency notification. So I guess when it's under SAPO, like our street festivals, you have that interagency review. Are you saying that it's going to be the same as it was in weekend walks, because those were SAPO applications? So does DOT do that too? Do they notify the agencies? Do they get, input in terms of planning, et cetera, and review this?
Yeah, we're actually undergoing the interagency review right now. We don't have a formal system built out like the SAPO system. That's definitely, I think, a goal of ours as this program evolves, or even potentially making use of the SAPO platform. As you said, we have something that already works really well. So we're sending it right now to NYPD, fire department, SAPO, parks, all the sort of agencies that we work with across city government. And then probably in 2 to 3 weeks time, CB10 will then get a notification letter that says XYZ open street on XYZ days is being proposed. You have 30 days to give us any comments or feedback, which will be more of a letter base, like the Leroy and the Brooklyn office.
Okay, great. Anthony?
Yeah. Dean.
Yeah, Kyle, are you getting applications from residential blocks looking to participate with open streets?
Citywide, yes, but not as of yet in Brooklyn Community Board 10.
Thank you.
Has there been any outreach to let the blocks know that they can apply for?
I believe we should have sent the applications to you all, and then
Yes.
Okay.
It's in our newsletter, and we blast that out. So I don't know if Dan, Amanda, you want to speak about, we're gonna have, I guess, a more formal review once we get the formal notification, but I don't know if you just want to summarize what you're looking to do this year differently. Amanda?
Hi. Yeah, so far we have our application in. It's actually for 5 dates. It is The final Fridays of the month, I am not sure, as Kyle mentioned, there's no guarantee that that will be approved. I think that's one of the things that comes up quite frequently is that my merchants, my residents, they don't want a weekly event. I mean, some do, obviously, but the majority do not want a weekly event because it is a very car-centric neighborhood. And also Fifth Avenue has a lot of places that are doctors' offices and services and things that street closures can make very difficult for them. So we are hoping that we can keep this as a monthly event, but there's no guarantee right now. So obviously we're going to have to wait and see how things shake up. I'm a little concerned about sheer volume of numbers in terms of getting support. So things like getting the NYPD barricades and things like that when between 3rd and 5th Avenue, these are happening fairly regularly, depending on how the application is approved. So I do think that it would benefit us all to have a further conversation. And Dan, I'd love to talk to you and maybe figure out ways that we can make this a little more seamless for the neighborhood. You mentioned signage, having the same signage, making sure we all have the same rules, we're all on the same page. And even marketing these is a larger thing for the Bay Ridge area. But I'm certainly willing to talk about that. I mean, right now, it's going to be for Fifth Avenue. Obviously, all merchants are invited to participate, every single one. And we do bring out community groups. We bring out lots of artists. And we actually, because we don't have as many restaurants, we do end up making sure that there are activities and things out and available for folks so that the streets feel a little more interactive, so to speak. And we're going to continue to do that as well. I will say, if I'm allowed, that the most difficult thing for us was getting the streets closed, trying to get cars off the streets. I think that people have learned now that the cars don't get towed. And so actually they park there and they know that those cars won't be moved. And that has become a serious problem. I also had a lot of folks, moving barricades and trying to drive through, things like that, which did get a little hairy. And we're really hoping to find a fix for that.
Okay. Anybody, Doris?
We had a process that worked. And obviously the merchants were getting support that they needed under the Weekends Walk program. And if it ain't broke, why are you fixing it? If it worked before, why are we making changes?
So I'll just say on that front, really, we want to evolve with how the city is sort of evolving right now and sort of what we're sort of trying to maximize the use of streets as public space. So we definitely want to give the room for more of these less often events like the 3rd Avenue event, the 5th Avenue event. And our goal really, I will say, is to actually in the future have less of these recurring events just housed within SAPO. Like something that was done through Weekend Walks could just live in SAPO, and then the city's DOT doesn't have to even really be involved. And then communities all across the city can do the summer strolls as they had done before. But because of the SLA piece and SAPO rule changes and everything else and outdoor dining, and I hear you, there definitely is room for improvement here.
And I think the SLA rules are very important, and I don't think you've effectively addressed that. So I still go back. It wasn't broken, don't fix it.
Understood.
Thank you, Doris. Anybody else?
Amanda, did you say your strolls were the last Friday of the month?
That is what we put in the application.
Okay.
And that was really, I think that you guys got your application in first, and there weren't a lot of Fridays that we could play off of.
We have like the 2nd and 3rd. We don't have any on the last Friday of the month.
Yeah, that's how we ended up landing on that date. I mean, I'm happy to talk to you about it, and especially as we see what we are approved for, because again, I know that last year Kyle was very open about approving our once a month, and we weren't sure if we could do that again this year. So I think we're waiting to see if that's possible.
There is one date, Dan and Amanda, I'm just looking at the list here from 3rd and 5th. And I know that these are still under review and we're going to look at them. But I think there is one date that is both on 3rd and 5th that was
Okay.
submitted, which is June 24th.
Well, nothing is in concrete. We can always
Okay, yeah.
talk, and if we have to move, we can move, or they can move. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to you anytime, Dan. We'll figure out the best way for sure.
Okay, and as Kyle said, this is going to come back to us for review and, maybe we could talk, in between that time period too on some of these issues. That would be great.
Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, Chip, go ahead. Yep.
I ran both 3rd and 5th last year's. I'm not going to be doing it this year, although I will be assisting. But the biggest problem is the barricades. We're not getting barricades provided this year, right? Except if we go through the precinct. Is that right, Kyle?
I am waiting on a very big barrier delivery, and it's held up because of a steel shortage supply in China. If that were to come through, we'll definitely have the ability to provide barriers to you, hopefully pick them up and drop them off, or drop them off and pick them up on the same night. But definitely start asking NYPD too, because if that barrier shipment isn't here, I can't say for certain.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, because without the barricades, people just drive through. And
We actually priced the cost of purchasing barricades, and the prices have gone through the roof. It's very prohibitive to purchase them, and then we have no place to store them. Even if we could afford them, and then if we buy them and then they take away this program next year, what do we do with them? So it's we rely on the city for this service. I'm hoping it's not coming from Canada with the trucks in Canada.
No, it's coming on a boat that's hopefully not stuck in the Suez Canal. So we'll see.
they can put it on the 69th Street Pier.
Just as a question, why these barriers? I mean, do they have to be formal barriers that are approved?
Barricades, yeah, you need
just like metal, metal crowd.
But I'm saying to you is that if there has to be some kind of a formal thing that the city has to approve as far as use is concerned. You can't just put a car across the street.
No,
or something?
no. Cars. You can't use cars.
Just trying to understand. That's all.
No.
Yeah, that just becomes an emergency access concern, because God forbid if someone runs away for 5 seconds, then a fire truck needs to get in, and who knows where that person is.
And
I think between the sawhorses that NYPD has, the metal barriers that we're fingers crossed will hopefully be here by the spring, we should be in a good place. But we're all sort of navigating this global landscape right now.
Yeah. We got through last summer using the wood barricades, but they're a lot harder. It takes a lot more manpower, a lot more time to set them up, take them apart, put them back and everything. The metal barricades are easier, but you need more. You need 3 metal barricades as opposed to 2 wooden barricades on each side of the street, But the other problem you get a lot of in Bay Ridge, you have a lot of handicap plates who park on the avenue, and they don't have to move. And we found a lot of them. Then what happens is in the middle of the night, they decide they want to come and drive off. That's why you need marshals on every block. And that was another problem we dealt with. But we managed to get through the summer last year with everything. As far as safety goes, and as far as the police, the way it worked with the 68th precinct was they were on, the sector car was always on call for us. We had a couple of problems throughout the summer, minor problems. And what we would do is the marshals would call 911 and the cop car would respond immediately. So it worked out, last year, because the 68 precinct works well with us. So.
Okay.
Steve,
are you still hand up or?
No, I'm sorry. I
okay.
just left it up there. It just looks good.
That looks nice. Anybody else comments or concerns about this? No? Okay. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate the input there on that.
Yeah,
Josephine,
thank you, everyone.
we're not voting on anything here, right? There's no
No,
motion. There's
no, because it's, as Kyle mentioned, we're gonna be getting a
Yeah.
notification letter, and at that point, the committee will reconvene, and I guess we'll have a lot more details upon that DOT review and notification. So
Okay.
that's all for
That's
our
our-
agenda.
Great. So with that, we'll end the meeting. I just want to thank everybody, and thank you, Josephine, for your continued patience. Obviously, as a new chair of this committee, there's a lot of ins and outs, and I'm learning it on the go and on the fly. So thank you so much for the support, Jane.
Doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. So I will see everybody